everybody, I'm Kathy Fielder and welcome to the Fielder Report. I'm here with the dynamic and amazing Leah Frazier, who is an author, Emmy Award-Winning business owner. I mean, the list goes on and on. She's an attorney. I mean, you're just such a dynamic, amazing lady. And so welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start with, you've won some Emmys, which everybody is going to want to hear about. So tell me about that, because that's like so cool.
It's kind of funny because when I took on the jobs, they were with Channel 8. And so they called and they were like, we've never worked with a wardrobe stylist before. We're creating like this creative team and everybody's telling us to go to you. And I had hair, makeup, like I pulled out everything and they're just like in awe because they've never worked with anybody of that capacity. And I was just happy to work with Channel 8. So I didn't go into it knowing that when you work on these creative projects that they can send it off for all these different awards and
You're just doing your job.
Exactly.
Working hard, right? Like,
and I'm always, thinking of other people too, like, oh, who else in town can I pull in? This is a big job. We're shooting in 4 different locations all over the place. So I'm calling Willie Johnson and Katrina Henderson and really racking up all these people. And lo and behold, they took the project and submitted it, and it won. The first one won a regional Emmy. And then they called me and said, you will not believe this. And I'm like, am I an Emmy winner? And they're like, yes, you're in the credits, and this wouldn't have happened without you. And then we worked on another project, and the same thing happened again. And it's funny because they only order so many awards. So it's like, if I want to go and see it and hold it, I've got to go to the station, and I'm like,
Right.
But I didn't go into those things knowing that you can win something for it. It's something as cool as an Emmy. I went into it because it was a great opportunity. I brought in other people so that they could capitalize off the opportunity as well. And it was birthed out of passion.
Absolutely. Well, and don't you feel like, collaboration really is it takes a village. And so I know you're a woman of the same mind as me, that we want to support each other. We want to be dynamic together because in that way we create something bigger together. Right, and you're a huge supporter of that. So I can understand. And you, like me, you just do your job every day, you work hard, and then, wow, that's so cool. I'm really getting an Emmy. That's like awesome, So tell me, because you're actually an attorney by trade. You went to law school and were a practicing attorney. And now you're so immersed in fashion and writing books, and you're really not doing practicing law at all. And so what was the catalyst to kind of make you move out of that industry and into kind of a much more dynamic and creative industry? Well, not to say that law isn't dynamic, because of course it is.
You can say that.
But you know what I'm saying? So I will say, and I'll come back to this in a minute, because I do have a question about being an attorney, being a business owner. I think it's such an asset. But so how did you transition from fashion and move into, or from law, and move into fashion? Let me say that again. So how did you transition, and what made you transition from law into fashion?
Well, I think I was I had a personal shopping business, and I was just styling all the other lawyers in town. So it was like a hobby, because I wanted them to stop coming to my office and asking me, where did you get that purse? Where did you get those shoes? That's cool.
Right.
And so I thought, like, what if I set up something cool where I do your closets and I'll go shop for you? Because there was all these beautiful women, but they had either no sense of style or
a bunch of suits.
Suits, but it was like droopy behind. It didn't show off their
boxy
shape.
jacket.
Oh my God, it was just like terrible.
These are powerful, dynamic women, right? That need to like fit the part with their wardrobe.
Yeah, but there was no fit.
Yes, for sure.
It was baggy, and these were gorgeous women. And I'm like, let me help you out, girl. And it was just something that was like on the weekends, and it turned into me starting this blog. And then I don't know if you know Susan Friedman at all.
Sure.
She found me when I was an attorney and said, hey, I have a client coming to Houston and they're in fashion and we need somebody to go on TV.
I love Susan. I actually chaired the eQuest Gala, and Susan does the PR for eQuest, so I know her well.
Yeah, so she discovered me. Like, I always give her the credit for discovering me, because she says, when I was trying to find somebody in Houston fashion, your name was the only one that came up. And I had only just started this hobby like months before, and she's like, I need you to go on Fox and do 3 segments. And I'm like, I've never been on TV before, not telling Susan that. Right. And it just steamrolled into being an attorney, but blogging and writing and TV and still styling women until I was doing it side by side for 7 years, and I was so exhausted and I was getting sick and I wasn't getting any sleep, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go after the thing that wakes me up in the morning that I get so excited about, even though people are telling me you'll never make money at that.
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm gonna show you.
Absolutely.
And so then that in 2015, I was in-house counsel at Citi, and I decided to leave.
Oh, so that was a major corporate job. Hours
you don't leave
per week.
In-house counsel. Like you don't leave that cushy gig as an attorney.
And how many hours a week did you work?
Actually, it was pretty cool. I worked a regular 9 to 5, but I managed over 100 or so law firms across the country with our cases. But when you go in-house as an attorney, it's the life. Like, you don't leave that life.
Of course not. To go be a blogger.
To be a blogger
and a closet
or to
organizer.
shop for other people. Like, they thought I was insane and out of my mind, and my family was like, what are you doing?
But you went to law school.
I went to law school.
Which brings me to a point that I feel like, you know, I've learned as a business owner how to negotiate well, and obviously I have to rely on my counsel to do some of those negotiations, but I feel like having that under your belt is kind of an extraordinary asset as a business owner, and to teach other people who own businesses to think like an attorney, because you'll have a better kind of, I think, outcome from kind of these deals you go into. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's been an asset for you?
I agree. The art of negotiation is like, so people don't value it enough.
No.
And I feel like my mom, like growing up, always says, it's the art of war. Like, you have to know what your opponent's move is before they make the move. So that's how I see it in business, is like, I need to know what Kathy's non-negotiables are. I need to know what your goals are, so that when I approach you, I'm speaking your language, but I'm also getting what I need.
And you're protecting your entity as well.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And so I think that's a great amount of advice that anyone from 22 to 52 to 72 needs to understand, is that when you're a business owner, you've got to think in that capacity at all times in order to protect yourself. They don't. And
we're in a me world.
It's not an emotional thing. Right. And so all these business deals we're doing, we can get emotionally wrapped up. I've been working on a lot of them myself, but you just have to take a step back and realize there's no emotion here. It's just like black and white, A plus B equals C, and then we all like just get the deal done. Right. And so I think, you know, tell me about your books a little bit, because you've written a couple, which are award-winning. I mean, you really are so talented, and I'm so proud of you, and you're so dynamic, and you're working on a third. So, I mean, you started writing your first book. What inspired you?
Well, I wasn't going to do it. Let's just put that out there. I was like, I'm too busy to do this.
You have such a low-key personality. You're like, I wasn't really going to do it. I'm real badass, but, you know.
I was not going to do it. It was the first 2 books that I co-authored were anthologies. And so the first one was called The Success Factor. And the visionary author approached me and said, I'm bringing 12 women together for you to kind of write your story and just talk about your failures. All these other entrepreneur books list, here's what I did, and here's the tips. And being an entrepreneur is so
Positive thinking is so, you know, the cure for everything.
Right. But no one talks about, I failed at 10 businesses before I hit the one that actually worked.
And we've failed 10 times a day before that one day.
I failed after that book came out.
Of course you did. We all fail, right?
That's another book.
I mean, absolutely, yes. I failed after I failed.
I failed after I failed, and it was major, so wait for that one to come out.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Right. So that's a great concept, and it's something that people need to understand, and it's a great life lesson. You know, I tell my kids all the time, you're going to get knocked down a lot more times than you're going to stand up, but the thing of it is the last time you get knocked down, that's the time you have to stand up the most, right?
Exactly.
And that's exactly what your point was with this book.
Yeah, and you know, she asked, and I was like, I don't have time for this. I had just left being an attorney, and I was trying to figure everything out and make everything work, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm in a position to write about success, because success for me didn't look like what I saw for everybody else.
Well, and that brings me to a really great point, that as women, or just people in general, there are so many days we don't feel successful.
Right.
Like on paper, we look super successful, right?
Exactly.
But, you know, when we just are sitting there quietly in the morning, we're like, man, because we are failing more than we're succeeding so many times, because that's how you make successful lives.
Right.
And so whether that's in your relationships, or just for me being a mother and parenting my children, or just business, or however that looks, right? It's so much pressure. And so what is success? What do you think? And we didn't even talk about that before, so that's a hard question to just throw at you, but I mean,
it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, because I think about that too, that I'm a lot harder on myself than what everybody else sees. And so I believe that my life is like a living example. So I'm willing to play out those failures in front of everybody. So it's like, so you don't have to make this mistake. So I know for me, I know my internal goals or my business goals, but to everybody else, the fact that I just left law and went into a completely different career path,
Totally different,
and made it work, that was enough for them to define success. Whereas for me, I'm like, I need to replace my income, and I ain't gonna be living like this forever.
Right. You know? That's not, I totally get that. You know, it's funny. I always look, success for me right now is having found out the things that are most important to me, and getting rid of some of the things that were kind of weighing me down. Right?
That's a word.
Yeah, and having these relationships that are really just so impactful in my life, and realizing the ones that aren't, right? And so, you know, I think success for me, in my opinion, changes. And as you grow and you become more on a daily basis, those goals and that definition is going to morph and become better, or just as you're growing and getting better as a person.
I mean, I agree. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned through this entire journey, because I started the first business, I think it was in 2009, when I was just being silly. But I've appreciated just kind of watching who I am kind of evolve, and appreciating the person that I didn't even realize I was. Absolutely. So when things were hitting the fan and I was failing, and I had to sell so much stuff to keep my business afloat, and people didn't realize I was struggling. But to come out on top, I'm like, girl, anything can happen to you, and nothing's gonna keep you down, and you're gonna win.
If you don't let it,
you're gonna win.
I know. I remember.
I didn't know I had that in me.
Of course, but I think it was always there.
No,
Kathy,
really? There's some stuff y'all have no idea that, like, people were like, I didn't even know. You know, you lost this and you lost that, and I walked 2 miles in the heat to put on a presentation one time because I didn't have a vehicle to get from A to B. I would have never imagined, after having my nice little BMW, that to make my business work, or to make this entrepreneurial journey work, that's what I would do.
I understand.
To succeed.
I sold watches to make payroll. I mean, in 2010, after the crash, and, you know, I mean, just crazy things that I never, you know, special watches. One that I received for my 5-year wedding anniversary. I sold it, you know, and so that's just it. I think success is doing whatever you need to do to make it happen. Not hurting anyone by doing it, but just making it happen by being dedicated to whatever that goal is, right?
Yeah.
Which you've obviously proven that you're capable of, and more than capable of.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It is exciting. It's a good feeling. It's an empowering and it's a strong feeling. And you know that no matter what gets thrown at you, you're going to tackle it and you're going to figure it out.
Right.
So can you tell what the third book that you're kind of writing?
Yes.
All right. Tell me about the book.
Because my attorney's already the attorney with the attorney. So as you know, I own Think 3 Media. We do a lot of communications and marketing. And so one of the main things that I get asked all the time is, for small businesses, how can we do our own PR? And so I started doing these workshops 2 years ago, where I'm like, here's how you can do some PR for yourself. It's not as good as an agency or a firm, but it's enough to get you some momentum. And press and media and things you can do with social media. And it was like this hit, and I kept getting asked to do it, and I was doing it for free, and I'm like, wait a minute. So finally, COVID kind of forced me to rethink some things. Leah, what can you put online that's virtual, that's money generating? Yes. So I took that course, packaged it up. It's called PR Yourself, and it made more money in one class than we had made in 3 months.
Amazing.
And so I called my publisher and said, for a year, I have wanted to put this in a book, and imposter syndrome kind of stopped me to say, you haven't fine-tuned this enough, Leah, for anybody to actually want this. But COVID, just putting it out there because I had to, proved to me that there was a need. And so now we're working on that, and it comes out December 18th. Yay. And so for all you people who want to know how to do it, it's all going to be in a book. And I'm excited because this is the one that I can actually take to conferences. I can teach, at institutions, and it's helped so many people. Like, you guys have no idea.
Today's marketing landscape is just extraordinary. Right?
And it changes every day.
Every day. And we've all had to make changes and pivot, the word of the year, of course, right? And figure out how to become effective in our business culture. Because how do you become effective? And then, on top of that, we've got an election year where there's all of these elements that are making it so hard to own a company. If you had to say the top tip from your book, or how to tell people how to market themselves, what's your best advice? Just one little sentence to help them understand.
Get out of your own way. You're going to have to market yourself online. And from a business perspective, unfortunately, as owners, people are now wanting a more human element to marketing. They want to connect.
They want the story.
They want the story. They want the story
How'd
of your
you survive,
employees.
or what'd you do, or why? Yes, absolutely.
So you can't hide behind your business anymore and be like, I don't want to do this Facebook Live, or I don't want them to interview me. I just want them to highlight the company. That's just not how it works anymore.
Absolutely.
So you're going to have to connect online. And if you're nervous, because I hate being on camera, not today, but you're gonna have to do it, because people, when they buy into you, they're gonna buy into all.
They want to know your story.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they want to they want to see how they can relate to you.
Right.
And it's never been more important, right?
Especially right now, where they're like, well, look at Kathy. She's doing this. She's pandemic chic.
My staff is always saying, oh my gosh, I need you to do more Facebook Lives. And I'm like, really? So it's the same. And I was actually, 6 or 7 years ago, I had 100 friends on Facebook. But then I realized that it was so important, and if I was going to really do what I wanted to do, I had to step out there and do it, right?
Right.
And so, but it was very uncomfortable for me too. Now, and it's still uncomfortable to go on camera sometimes. And just have a conversation and really talk to people about the real stuff, right? But that's what everybody that we need to understand is that's what we're marketing in today's market. And
you're marketing, and people want to always pigeonhole PR into press and media, but I've seen more people that are bold and doing more stuff on social media that are actually more successful than the people that are on TV.
Absolutely.
It's the people that are not afraid to go on LinkedIn to do their lives and connect with their audience.
Absolutely. And just say, hey,
I'm
what's
here.
going on with you? I've got this awesome tank top over here, and you've got to have it.
Exactly.
And here's why, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it's just really real. I think there's a real need for transparency, right? And how do we just kind of really show who we are and relate back to whomever our client or customer base is. What is Think 3 Media? What's next? Is this really housed under Think 3 Media, but you're still taking on clients and doing PR and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Also, you are.
So I bucked at growth for a very long time. I was like, no, I just want to stay really, really small, and I enjoy all the clients I have. And I had this posted, I don't know who I was listening to, that said it's time to grow. And I would just ignore it for years. And again, COVID-19, in March, we pretty much, all my clients put their contracts on hold.
Sure.
And I was just grateful to God. I was like, well, thank you that I had enough to keep paying people and I had a cushion. So let me get all this stuff that I've been wanting to do out there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, when everybody got their PPP loans and everything else, we had more people, because marketing and PR was so necessary to small business success right now, coming, and we were coming up with all these creative out-of-the-box solutions. You should do this. Oh, partner with this person, and y'all leverage each other's networks. Yeah. And then they kept telling people. And so now it's at a point where I'm like, I'm not really going to bed, and I'm hiring and trying to figure everything out, and we're all working remotely. So we're growing.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing.
I was very afraid of it before, because I didn't want to give up my personal stuff that I love to do, but it's working out.
It's working
That's
out.
where we're at right now.
Well, you know, you can't make an omelet without breaking any eggs, right? So I've always said that. And so I think that right now you're like whipping up those, you're scrambling those eggs, and you're growing something really incredible. But it is hard because that work-life balance, right? And so now you're in that spot where your work might be taking over a little bit of more of the balance than you want. And so what are some of the things that you do to try to stay sane?
Oh my gosh, I go to the wellness studio every weekend. They already know what time I'm coming.
Okay.
And I'm like, I just need to meditate.
Yeah.
And it just resets. And I'm in an amazing class right now that's all about tapping into who you are and self-care. So when you were talking about getting rid of people, we talk about that. What resonates
What weighs
with
you down? Yeah.
What sucks your energy
That's
out?
right.
Writing it down. If
This
it's
is
clients,
a stressful world, right? And if it's a
It
client, sometimes you just have to say bye to money in order to just be happy.
exactly. Because I'm like, I love what we do. Like, I literally do a happy dance anytime a client gets like an amazing placement.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, y'all. Praise break.
Yeah, for sure.
And then just thinking of the cool stuff. Oh my God, I just thought of this cool thing for you. You gotta please let me do it. So it's like, I love what I do, but to that point, Leah has to take care of herself so that I can be the best me for everyone else. And if I'm not, then I'm depressed, and the pandemic and being isolated doesn't make it any better.
Of course not. No, it really doesn't. And that's what I realized. When the pandemic hit, and then I imported all this PPE, which is a very intense 5 weeks of my life, probably one of the most intense 5 weeks of my life, to be honest. And when I came out of that and we kind of were successful with it, I realized I have not taken care of Kathy in years. Like, literally not for years.
So what did you do?
Well, I just took a month or two and I've been more quiet, right? And now it's ramping back up. But I mean, I didn't go into the office every day. Like, we were an essential business, so we were in here all the time, working, and literally packing up boxes of masks and sending them out and just trying to meet the demand, right? And so, I just took some time. And I just needed to breathe. And I spent a lot of time with my kids and my husband.
Good.
And just, I was there. And it felt so good to realize, hey, I can take care of me and I can still be successful. And you've got to figure out that balance, right?
Yeah, there's this place called Getaway, and it's like Instagram knows, like, she's going through something. Feed her the post of the cabin in the woods with the dog and no electricity. And it came on my feed like the third time, and it hit on that right day. Oh, I booked it. I go in 2 weekends.
I've heard about it. I've heard it's
like, I'm out of here.
Spectacular.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm bringing my yoga mat. I'm bringing essential oils. I was like, I don't know what the setup is like. She's out of here. She's bringing books. I'm bringing journals. I don't know what's going to be revealed to me, so I'm stoked.
That is amazing.
I'm out of here.
I love how open you are to like just being more and these opportunities and taking advantage of them. What do you think gives you that sense to where you go, oh, that is something I need to do, or that is an opportunity that I need to capitalize on? What's the word I'm looking for? How do you navigate through that?
I have learned to trust my gut more than anything. Like somebody called it like your internal GPS, where it's telling you what to do, and sometimes we don't do what we're supposed to do.
We don't do it, and then it's a big disaster.
It's a huge, and so I've had too many of those where I'm like, oh, that feels good, that doesn't feel right. So I trust me enough, and then I also know the things that I write down and the conversations I have where I'm like, this is where I want things to go.
Sure.
And so as I'm kind of attracting those opportunities, because I really believe in like the law of attraction, if it comes, I know, I'm like, I asked for that.
Yeah.
So I don't care that I'm going to this cabin in the woods. I got to make this happen, because Leah, that's exactly that's the link that you asked for.
So trust that internal.
Oh yeah, this right here.
Absolutely. I say that all the time. You know. You sometimes doubt yourself, but you know. For
This is
sure.
the best GPS you will ever have.
100%. When you're in touch with who you are, you really do.
Yes.
Yeah, you have that sense. What books are you reading right now? Or what book?
Ooh, I'm such a nerd. I'm so happy you asked. Yay. Oh my gosh. So I'm reading Brendan Burchard's High Performance Habits. Just because
Awesome.
when we were talking about balance, I just wanted to know how high performers balance their life out.
Absolutely.
And so there's a lot of tips and tricks that he teaches in that book that kind of helped me to mellow out, but still perform and execute on a daily basis, which is awesome.
Yes.
Like simple things like, Leah, you've been sitting down for every hour, set an alarm on your clock that you stop and you walk
Get up and you move
around. Go
Yes.
walk the dog.
I was
Go
so
take
stressed out
coffee.
this morning, I went and walked the dog. And
Exactly.
my husband was like, I'm going to take dogs for a walk. And I was like,
Nope.
You know what? Laptop shut, I'm going with you, right? I mean, it's weird because now he's home a lot more, and we're all kind of working from the same spaces. So it's such a strange dynamic. That in general is just so strange. But yeah, it's great advice. And we don't realize.
No.
Right?
Or I could have wrote this book, Brendan.
Absolutely. Of
course,
course,
that's what I was supposed to
Well,
do.
you're writing your third one, so I'm sure you can.
Right?
So Netflix series, do you have or did you already go through all of Netflix?
Oh no, that's the crazy thing is I don't watch TV.
I don't either.
Like on the weekends.
I don't watch it. I want to so badly, but I just don't do it.
I can't.
I can't.
But
Are you watching anything?
I did get sucked into Dead to Me with Christina Applegate.
I've heard
and
it's so good.
It was
I
so
watched
good.
the
I watched
first
it.
one. But there
Oh
was
my
so
gosh.
much drama, and I could see it coming. I was like,
it was too
it
much.
kind of stressed me out.
I was stressed.
It was stressful. I was like, I can't. I mean, I just can't. So,
I
and
was
it was during the
super
pandemic,
stressed.
so I was like, I'm going to come back to this one.
It's so good though.
Yeah,
like,
I've heard that.
I
I've
finished
heard it's
season
so
2. And yeah, I was kind of happy when it was done because it's just this roller coaster, and I'm like,
You're
oh
like,
my God.
you're kind of like relieved.
You can't walk away.
I know. It
So I
drives you
did
in.
get sucked into that one, but not too many
too
others.
many.
Yeah, I don't really watch TV.
I don't either. And so, but I always ask because I
Yeah.
want to.
I do too.
You know what I mean? I want to watch Netflix.
I finished all of Netflix.
And I'm like,
really? What did you do?
When did you do that? But I mean, businesses and kids and all that, I can't. And once you get sucked in,
Oh, it's bad.
you're up, it's 3 a.m. and you're like, I've got to go to bed. And then that's a new level of stress.
I'll tell you what sucks me in is TikTok.
Oh, I know. I watch it with Isabella all the time.
People now are like, I go to your stories because I want to see what funny TikTok videos you found. And I will have friends that will text me and say, get off of TikTok. Like, go to bed.
Take a break. Yeah, I know. I do.
Like,
Isabella and I
it
sit.
saves me.
Yeah, it's funny. Isabella and I sit in her room all the time and watch it, and we just have the funniest time and just laugh.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
The creativity. Oh yeah, I will go down that rabbit
Yeah,
trail.
when we were hearing that it was going to go away, I was like, no.
Well, and then they tried Instagram Reels. It's not the
It's
same.
not the same.
You don't
no,
get that
it's
60
too
seconds.
developed.
Yeah,
So
it's too
good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's too good.
I'm the TikTok queen. And I told there's a blogger here who's got a really great following, and I said on a YouTube video, you do that, girlfriend. I'm not ticking or talking for nobody. And then I got in there, and she says, let me run that back for you. And now I'm obsessed.
So as a Black woman in today's dynamic culture, you're kind of paving the way, and you're such a voice and a spokeswoman for Black people and Black women and empowering them. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I just think right now it's so important for me not to kind of hide behind the things that are happening and to step out and use whatever platform that I have in order to not only inspire Black women, but to inspire my non-people of color friends or my white friends to spur into action. And so I know that the window for change is so small. So it's like, what can Leah do in her own sphere of influence in order to push the agenda forward or make things more equitable? And so I've been doing a lot of work with companies in the advertising and marketing sphere where I can help them with communication or help them to review company practices to make sure that they're hiring in a way that's equitable. And I've been doing presentations on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I'm really taking everything that I know from a legal standpoint to a marketing standpoint to PR and communications, and just trying to use that influence to make a way so that my kids or my kids' kids can live in a better world that I didn't necessarily have that same opportunity.
Absolutely. And do you think, are you seeing some dynamic changes? Are you seeing a shift? Yeah.
I am. It's crazy because
More
they're
awareness.
the older generation. They'll always let us know, oh, you young folks out there protesting, you know.
Right.
But they've even said that, man, the fire and the spunk of like this younger generation, we didn't think that we would see changes before, and now we feel like something really big is going to happen.
That's
and
awesome.
I feel the same way. I mean, just the support for Black-owned businesses that I've seen just in the city of Dallas.
Absolutely.
Has been so
amazing.
And it just proves the point that there was always enough in the pie for everybody.
Absolutely.
For everybody
I've
to
always
eat.
said that. There always has
Right.
been. That's right.
And so I just think, and people didn't even realize, like during that point in time where people were making an effort, like, hey, we're going to take this chunk of time and really put our dollars into the Black community, into Black-owned businesses. They saved a lot of our businesses here in Dallas. Like some were like, this was the biggest sales weekend we've had in a long time. If there
It
were
was
not
kind of
those,
the pivotal point
Yes.
of success or failure.
Yes.
Yes.
And so it's so important. So seeing those changes, and even now seeing people to continue those efforts. And as far as like when we talk about like white allyship and seeing a lot of the content creators and those that have like social media influence still organizing efforts to further the movement is just so encouraging. And they're not doing it to be famous or to bring any light
It's
to
because
themselves.
it matters.
Yeah.
It's important.
And I love
It is
that.
important.
So
Yes,
I'm like,
absolutely.
yes.
Well, that's exciting to hear, and I do believe that Dallas has been really supportive, which is wonderful. You know, just as a small business owner, white, Black, Hispanic, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that support is so necessary right now, and to just shed light on these Black-owned businesses is really one of the most important aspects, I think, of 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been great. And I was a part of a organization that we decided for like 2 or 3 weeks that, okay, just upload your receipts. We're encouraging you to shop Black-owned or eat at a Black-owned restaurant. And we had a goal of 5 million to reach by Juneteenth. And we were over 5 million that was spent within Black-owned businesses within the U.S. by Juneteenth. And I knew I thought we were going to hit 1 million. Okay. I didn't think we were going to hit 5. And
That's
I was
amazing.
like, through the roof, like, look what we
fantastic.
can do when we collectively come together.
Absolutely.
And so it's just
And
awesome.
bring knowledge and revenue.
And then I had people like bloggers here that were like, Leah, I just bought from this boutique and I had no idea they had this, and that.
Right.
So they were stepping outside their comfort zones.
Absolutely.
And so it was awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've so enjoyed talking with you today.
I
You're
know,
so
me too,
dynamic. You're
Kathy.
beautiful. You're
you.
just such a talented and just graceful lady. So thank you for being here with me.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Anytime.
Thanks for joining us on the Field of Report today. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a great day.